Most people have no idea where they actually stand financially compared to everyone else their age. And look, I'm not talking about income. I'm not talking about your salary or job title. I'm talking about the one number that actually tells the truth about your financial life. And in a second, I'm going to show you something that shifted how I think about all of this. Something that quietly determines whether you retire comfortably or spend your 60s still working. But first, let me show you where most people your age actually stand, because the data is surprising. Here's the thing about income. It's a terrible measure of wealth. Picture two people. One makes 500k a year, the other makes 60,000k a year. Who's wealthier? Feels obvious, right? Except the 500k earner spends 490,000k a year. New car every 2 years, huge mortgage, lifestyle that requires every dollar they make. Their net worth nearly zero. The 60k earner lives on a 40k, invests the rest every single month, their net worth is climbing. Net worth is simple. Everything you own minus everything you owe. Your savings, investments, home equity, minus your student loans, credit cards, car loans, mortgage. That's the real scoreboard, and today I'm going to show you exactly where most people land on that scoreboard by decade. I've got a goals table I'll be referencing throughout, a low end, a middle target, and a killing it column. I'm going to save the killing it numbers for last because once you see them, the earlier decades hit different. Let's start with your 20s. Imagine you're 26, maybe you got some student debt, a decent job, and you're basically figuring out as you go. The median net worth for someone in their 20s is $700. Not $700,000, not $75,000, $752. And before you feel great or terrible about that, understand what it means. It means half of people in their 20s have less than $752. A lot of them are negative because of student loans. The average is higher, about 10,200, but average get pulled up by outliers. A few 29-year-olds with tech equity or trust funds skew the whole thing. The median is the honest number. Now, here's where things get interesting. If you actually want to be ahead, and here's the stretch targets. Low end, 42,500 by the time you hit 30, middle target, 53,000. Killing it, I'll show you that number in a bit. Hitting those numbers in your 20s comes down to three things. 1. Save at least 15% of your income. Even 3,000 a year invested in the S&P 500, historical average of 8%, turns into over 1.1 million by retirement. Not because of the amount, because of the time. 2. No consumer debt. Student loans at a low rate. Fine. Credit card debt, car loans you didn't need. Those are the silent killers of compounding. Every dollar in a high interest. Debt is a dollar working against you. 3. Start building a plan for income growth. Your 20s aren't about making a ton of money. They're about setting up the game so that your 30s and 40s can be explosive. The people who win financially in their 40s almost always build the foundation in their 20s, which brings me right to where things start to get real. By your 30s, life has usually gotten more expensive. Maybe there is a mortgage in the picture or a family or both. The median net worth for people in their 30s is 35,000. The average jumps to around 37,000. Still pretty close, which tells you the wealth isn't lopsided in this decade. Here's where the stretch targets land. Low end, 162,000 by age 39. Middle target, 197,000. Killing it, it's still coming. Here's why 197k in net worth at 39 matters. Within 25 years of compounding left before a typical retirement age, the number, even without adding another dollar, has a real shot at crossing $1 million. You don't have to be rich, you just have to not blow it. And that's exactly where most people in their 30s struggle, because this is the decade lifestyle inflation hits hardest. You get a rise, you upgrade the car, you move into a bigger place, you start eating out more because honestly you've earned it. None of those things are wrong on their own, but they compound just like investments do, in the wrong direction. Goal number 1, in your 30s, treat lifestyle inflation like a slow leak. Every $500 a month you don't inflate your lifestyle is $6,000 a year. You can put to work over 25 years in the market. That's potentially $500,000 plus. Goal 2. Be completely debt-free, except the mortgage, before you turn 30. Car paid off, credit cards at zero. The goal is to enter your 30s lean, so the money you can make can actually compound instead of covering interest payments. Which brings me to the decade most people either get it very right or very wrong. This is the decade that tends to separate people permanently. The median net worth for someone in their 40s is 146,000. The average is much higher, around 524,000, meaning a small group of people in their 40s are doing extremely well and pulling the average up. The stretch targets here: low end, $385,000 by the end of decade. Middle target, $434,000. And killing it, getting here. 2 big goals for your 40s. 1. Get your retirement number locked in. A simple framework. Figure out your annual retirement lifestyle cost. Multiply by 25. That's your target. If you want $60,000 a year in retirement, you need $1.5 million invested. If you can live on $40,000, you need $1 million. This is the 4% rule. Withdraw 4% per year while you invest, keep growing. Knowing that number changes everything. It stops being abstract and starts being a target you can actually aim at. 2. Pay off the mortgage before 50, if at all possible. Eliminating housing costs before retirement gives you options most people don't have. And in your 40s, your income is probably at or near its peak. Use that window. Stay away from borrowing against your home equity. Protect the asset. Stay focused, because the next decade is where the number starts to look very different. By your 50s, if you are played the game reasonably well, things start to compound noticeably. The median net worth here is 287,000. The average crosses 1.3 million, meaning this is the decade where the gap between people widens the most. Stretch targets: low end, solid 6 figures of investable assets beyond the home. Middle target, on pace for a 1 million plus retirement portfolio. Killing it, over 2 million by the end of decade. 3 goals of your 50s. 1. Maximize every tax advantaged account you have. 401k, catch-up contributions, ROA contributions. Use all of it. This is likely your highest earning decade. Treat it that way. 2. Start shifting your asset allocation. Still growth oriented, but with more caution, less volatility. You're close enough to retirement that a major market crash can wait 20 years to recover. 3. Get generally clear on what you want retirement to look like. Not in a vague, travel and relax way. Actual numbers. What will you spend? Where will you live? Do you want to leave money to kids? Have that conversation with yourself, with a financial planner, with a partner, if you have one, which leads us to the final chapter. The median net worth for someone in their 60s is 439,000. The average is 689,000. Stretch targets: low end 550, middle target 700. Killing it, 2.8 million. 3 priorities now. 1. Finalize your withdrawal strategy, especially if you have traditional retirement accounts with tax implications on withdrawals. Sequence matters. 2. Stop optimizing for growth. Start optimizing for protection. A big loss in your 60s doesn't recover the same way it would have in your 30s. And 3. Get your estate in order. So, now you've seen the numbers, all of them, including the killing it column, and here's the thing I mentioned at the start. The shift that changes all of this, it's not a budgeting up, it's not a salary negotiation trick, it's the decision to stop looking wealthy and actually become wealthy, because the single biggest difference between the median number and the killing it number in every single decade isn't income. It's what people choose not to spend. I made a whole video breaking down exactly why looking less wealthy is one of the most powerful financial moves you can make and what that actually looks like in practice. Watch it here. Thank you for watching.